house party, the Neshoba County Fair. We're pleased to welcome now to the Element Wealth studio. It's the governor of the great state of Mississippi, Governor Tate Reeves. Governor, always good to see you, sir.
Great to be on. Always great to be on from a beautiful venue here in Neshoba County.
So you were counting. You think it's 22 or 23?
I think that's right. I've been here a time or two, it appears. I challenged him. I said I've been here long. I've given more speeches than any governor in history. I have no idea if that's true or not, but I know that our friends that love to fact check will go out and do the research for us, and so I'm curious.
Well, that's the best way to do it. It saves you a little time.
Me and my team been recruiting jobs. We hadn't had time to do fact checking, so we're going to put that on them.
Amen. Well, I caught a little bit of your speech today. Tell our audience what the core message was.
Well, I would say there were two core messages. Number one, the core message was, look, there are always politicians that get up and speak at the Neshoba County Fair, and we all have fun doing it. But the reality is the policies that we talk about here really are the ones that are priorities for each of us and the ones that we want to enact. So I went through a litany of policy ideas that I initially proposed here from the fair, and the fact that we've enacted them and what that's meant for the state of Mississippi. And then the second priority for me today was to talk about Mississippi's momentum, the job creation that's happened. It's really remarkable to be where we are today with I've made $15 billion in announcements since I last spoke from this stage just a year ago, created thousands and thousands of job announcements over that time, and I'm excited about it, and I'm excited about the wages that these jobs are paying, and I'm excited about what it means for the people of our state. It's really an exciting time to be a Mississippian.
The word is getting out, Governor, that Mississippi is a great place to do business. I recall so vividly on the campaign trail in 2019, you used the refrain over and over again that we don't want to make Mississippi just a good place to do business. We want to make it the best state in the country. We've come a long way thanks to your leadership and that of our legislature. I think we're getting there. The word's getting out.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Look, and I said today, and I mean this, and it's, I always challenge other leaders and our friends in state government that my view is I don't want to compare our successes today to our successes in 2002, Mississippi. I want to compete with Georgia. I want to beat Texas. I want to beat Tennessee for these projects. And so it gives me, and we don't always, sometimes we know more about who we're competing against than maybe eventually gets out in the public domain.
Yeah.
But I get a lot of pleasure out of not only making these big announcements, but knowing that there were a lot of good states with good Republican governors with high qualities of life that we went head-to-head with and we beat them. And I want everybody in Mississippi to know that that's happening every single day, and I want them to know it needs to continue to happen every single day going forward, because at the end of the day, the winners are the people who are working in our state. Nearly over 1.2 million Mississippians working today, and if we can drive wage growth through more capital investments and more jobs, obviously more demand for employees is going to drive the ability for wages to go up.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. So one of the things that occurred in Madison that I think was integral to landing the largest capital investment in the state's history was the mega site. So now we're seeing that occur across the state. You've been dedicated to this effort as well, where we got to literally have shovel-ready sites that are ready for these companies to come in, inspect the site, and envision what their project would look like.
There's no doubt, Gerard. Politicians don't like to admit maybe when they weren't on board with a particular policy their entire career. But I early on in my career, I was significantly less likely to adopt, what we saw in Field of Dreams, build it and they will come.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, as I traveled around after getting elected in 2019, it became more and more and more clear to me that companies not only are interested in incentives, they're not only interested in the workforce, they're in a hurry. And shovel-ready project sites are something that we didn't have enough of in Mississippi. but we weren't unique. Nobody has enough. There's not enough ready project sites to go, and it just takes time. It takes time to get them ready, because by the time you acquire land and you clear the land and you get the environmental permits, and so now working with our leaders in the legislature, we've really worked hard to create a site development program. We will have invested sometime by the end of this fiscal year, we will have committed $130 million to site development. We know we're willing to spend that if we have someone that's going to locate $1 billion plant, but there's no doubt in my mind that we never would have gotten AWS to make the announcement that they've made if it weren't for the mega site. And oh, by the way, it's not just having the land available. You got to have water and sewer and power, and the fact of the matter is the lead time on those investments takes significant amounts of time, and they could either open in 2027 on that site, which we know that they will because it was ready to go, or they can open in 2037 on some site. And we have a competitive advantage, and we got to do everything in our power to put ourselves in a position to have a competitive
I think the reality is if you take the old approach of, if you want to come here and you're going to invest that kind of money, we'll get you a site ready, you're just crossed off the list nowadays.
No question.
Because there's money to be made and time is of the essence, and so we're shining. So I applaud that effort, and I think that's going to pay
Gerard,
dividends.
let me just say one thing, because people need to hear this. My goal when I came in 2020 was to have not one, not two, not three, but 30 of those sites situated in every region of our state, and we have that today. And they're not all 2,000 acres, they're not all mega sites, but we have a 200-acre site, for instance, right south of the airport in Gulfport. We have a 1,800-acre site, I believe, up in Alcorn County, and everywhere in between, from the Delta to Southwest Mississippi, we have sites situated, and we're trying to sell those sites every day.
When you think about the critical needs of not just our state, but all 50 states, education, of course, which is a big part of state government, health care as well, just getting an increase, spurring an increase in household wages and per capita income and so forth. These issues are addressed through these economic development projects. This is how you do it.
I've started saying this, and many of my friends on the Democrat side don't like to hear it, but it's true. We don't have a lot of problems in Mississippi, and we don't have a lot of problems in America that are really good, high-paying job for every single one who wants one can't solve. And that's really one of the major differences between the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. They look to government for solutions. We look to the individual. And I think that that's something that, when we talk about health care, and we have some of the worst health care stats in all of the country, and I will readily admit that, and we are working every day to try to improve on those. But we also have to admit that a lot of those poor health care statistics come because of decisions made by individuals.
No doubt.
And not because of decisions made by government or government leaders. And so we can certainly do things that improve it and make it better. But there's also personal responsibility that we have to understand and be willing to talk about.
Tax reform is something that you have championed and you've promoted and you've called for an elimination of the state income tax. We stopped short of that. We made some progress there, eliminating the 3% and 4% rate to 3% when you were lieutenant governor, 4% now, and then the 5's coming down to 4%. We got more work to do there, and we're generating surpluses. Why can't we get this done?
Well, there are a few folks in the legislature that run as Republicans that have not completely bought into the complete elimination of the income tax. I hear now that there's some momentum to get rid of the grocery tax, as it's called. I will remind you, we don't have a grocery tax in Mississippi. We have a sales tax on all kinds of different products, and so the fact is, you're never going to find me being against eliminating taxes, but I think it's a far better economic decision to eliminate the tax on work, or even continue to reduce the tax on work, than it is to reduce a consumer tax for purchases. And it's just from an economic standpoint, and I don't think that's debatable, by the way. You may rather help some folks, and oh, by the way, let's just remember that groceries cost too much today because of the policies of the Biden administration. but it's also true that the lowest income Mississippians don't pay a grocery tax, because you don't pay grocery tax on transfer payments, and you don't pay grocery tax on SNAP benefits.
That's right.
And so, but look, reducing the size of government and taking our surpluses and give it back to Mississippians is something that I'm always going to be in favor of.
Well, I hope we continue to make that progress, Governor. I think it's the right thing to do. And to your point, economists, especially conservative economists, have told us and done numerous studies for decades that taxing consumption is more efficient from an economic perspective. 30 seconds or so left, than taxing income.
And by the way, I just don't even think it's debatable. I think what's going to happen is if you were to reduce the tax that's paid at the grocery store, that is more money in people's pockets in theory, but I think those individuals are actually going to make different choices. They're going to spend the same amount of money in the grocery store. They may buy the brand name otherwise. I think if you want to see significant economic growth, the best economic decision is based upon eliminating the income tax.
Governor Tate Reeves has been our guest here at the Neshoba County Fair. We're at Founders Square. We're coming right back after this break. Stay with us.